My name is Alex Rimbach, and I've been going in 4 years of sobriety now. Childhood was, for me, was relatively normal. I grew up in the wonderful city of Victorville, California. So, it was pretty different from most people out here in the city. A lot of people didn't have money where I grew up. My family was relatively okay. I never felt like an outsider, never felt like I had less than, never felt like people had more than me. So it was pretty normal, I would say, in that sense. My mom was a drug addict. She struggled with addiction, and dad was not the nicest man. But the thing with that is, again, I saw a lot of my friends have this similar struggle. So again, that never made me feel different. It always made me feel like it was just kind of what it was, where I was. Yeah. Yeah. One sister. She's been a huge inspiration in my life. Yeah, she's like the whole story. My mom passed away from addiction. She took her own life. She struggled with this disease. So my sister was there to kind of really support me as being like that role model and take care of me, when that all happened. My drug of choice started as Dilaudid. I'm a registered nurse, and that's where it began for me. It started with Dilaudid, and from there I graduated. Went from Dilaudid, and when I couldn't really get any more prescription meds, I went to the streets, started with heroin, and heroin was gross. I didn't really like it that much, and someone said, "Hey, I got something that will wake you up. Here's some methamphetamine." And I said, "Oh yeah, why not, And that, I would say, would be my drug of choice now, would be methamphetamine, is where it ended, yeah. First time I used, I remember I was 27 years old. It was the first time I ever picked up like any kind of narcotic and used. I've tried a little bit of like cocaine when I was in college. I drank a little bit, but I know first time I used, I remember I was 27 years old. Dilaudid. Dilaudid was the first thing I used, yep. It gave me a sense of purpose at the time. Before I started using, I just was completely emotionally bankrupt. I was just constantly depressed, and I couldn't understand why. Because at this point in my life, prior to me using drugs, was relatively successful. I had a career, I was married, I had my own house. Vanity-wise, I was very well off, but I couldn't understand why it is every single day I woke up, I wanted to kill myself. I could not figure it out for the life of me. I tried getting on antidepressants, I tried going to therapy, and nothing was giving me a sense of purpose. And when I tried the drugs for the first time, it made me feel like what I've been looking for. Like, oh, this is what I've been looking for with everything in life. It's right here. That's what the drugs do. Oh man, what got me out of that dark place? I guess it was a sense, there's a whole story behind it, but what got me out of it was like really being able to trust the process and the people around me telling me that there's a better way of life other than being high all the time. And the way people were telling me that there's a better way of life of like getting connected with a program and having, I guess you could say, a connection with a higher power, kind of like a spiritual aspect to it, something that I never had my entire life. And I just didn't want to believe it, I didn't want to trust it, and I still wanted to do things my way. And every time I kept, putting it off, I kept digging myself into a deeper hole, into a darker place. And it wasn't until I was at like this crossroads, and I remember I was on the phone with my friend, and I was telling my friend, I'm like, look, I'm gonna go kill myself. I've given everything that I could give. There's nothing really worth living for. And my friend, she was very nonchalantly, she's like, okay. She's like, you can kill yourself. The option's always there. You know how to do it. It's not gonna go anywhere. She's like, why don't you try getting sober first and doing it this way? Just see what happens. And it made complete sense. I said, yeah, okay. I really haven't tried, so let me try. And that's what I did. And started the path of sobriety. That's what kind of got me out, was that realization of, it's like, I could always kill myself, but let me try this first, right? Yeah. Oh man, the withdrawals were fucking awful. The withdrawals were the worst. It felt like, how do I explain it? It felt like my bones were trying to crawl out of my skin, is what it felt like. Every single like ache, like all my joints ached. And I just remember like feeling like I don't know, like I was a rubber band and I was just like contracting all the time. That's what it felt like. I wanted to die. I really did, yeah. I've had some broken bones in my life. I've been beat up a couple of times. Nothing compares to nothing compares to those withdrawals. I don't ever want to do that again. That's one thing I never want to do again is the withdrawals. The craziest, I did some pretty desperate things. I use people's vulnerabilities against them. You know, I would hurt people. You know, I would strong arm people, and I'm not proud of it. But yeah, the best way I put it, I'd bully people. I'd hurt people and I'd take it from them. I would tell them like, hey, yeah, I got $40. They'd get there and I'd be like, look, I'm just gonna take it. Either we can fight about this or you could just give it to me. And sometimes we would fight about it and other times they would just give it to me. And I did that a lot. I'm trying to think, craziest thing. Yeah, dude, one of the weirdest stories I ever had when I was on drugs, and when you start messing with methamphetamine, you get weird. Things just get weird. The people get weird, you get weird, the situations get weird. And I remember like, I was like in this hotel room and my dealer calls me. He's like, yeah, I'll be by. He's like, can my friend hang out with you for a couple of hours? She just needs a place to stay. I said, yeah, sure. And I think her name was Honey or Money, some weird name like that. Anyway, she shows up and she's cool. She's just sitting there, we're just talking. And she like pulls out these like papers and starts cutting fake money in front of me. And I'm just like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, this is my funny money. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, this is cool. Again, I've never seen anything like this before. And she's like, yeah, this is my funny money. And then she's like, I'm just waiting. I think I'm gonna call a taxi and we're gonna go gambling. And this was up in like San Jose area, Fremont, East Bay. And she's like, yeah, you wanna go gambling? And I was like, I said, I guess. I don't really gamble, but I'll go with you. Like, I'll tag along. And I just remember as the night progressed, it was just like a movie scene after movie scene. Like ended up in like near like these shipping containers, and inside the shipping containers was like this underground gambling. And not like anything cool. It wasn't like what you see like in the movies. It was just like these computer screens and people like touching them and trying to like gamble and then like playing like random cards. It was like all these old like Orientals and these old like just burnt out tweakers. And